What's up guys, Chris here again with another 4 Knights of the Apocalypse manga chapter review. But before I get into the actual video, check out this brand new avatar that I'm using this video to make its debut. What do you guys think? Does it look cool? What do you think? I honestly really like this new avatar. I've been meaning to change my avatar for a while and changing the title of the channel. So this coincides more or less with the new image I have for the channel. I hope you will enjoy it. I hope you like this new avatar and I hope you will get used to it if you got used to my older avatar. But I'm seeing that this one will stick around for a long time. And I am honestly just really happy that I finally got a new avatar to fit the new brand of the channel. So without further ado, let's start the video. So last time in chapter 11, we get the encounter between Ordo's monster, Nazian, and Percival. As we get inklings of Ordo having some sort of consciousness in this monstrous form, not only does he injure Dolores, but he also nearly kills Nazians and even Percival at one point. We also get the reveal of another Holy Knight from Camelot, who actually was responsible for turning Ordo into this monster, and told him to destroy the gorge. The chapter more or less ended with Percival getting hit horribly badly with the full brunt of this knight's hailstorm, and Percival re-unlocking his magical power, and that's where this chapter begins. Before I get into the actual chapter though, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell for updates on future videos. It really does help. I also checked and it looks like that 90% of the people watching my videos are not subscribed. So if you are part of that 90% of the people that do not subscribe to my channel, please do, because the more people that subscribe and interact with my videos, the more likely I am to continue doing this content week by week and making even more content in the future. So please don't forget to hit that sub button. Now before we get into this actual chapter, we get a nice 2-page color spread showing Percival, Nazians, Tulsa, the monstrous Ordo, Sin, and Donnie and Dolores. And this is honestly a pretty nice 2-page spread. I really like it. And it's nice we actually got like the actual colors for Nazians, Ordo, Dolores, and hell, even Donnie, who I believe his hair is like a reddish crimson, I believe. And Dolores has blonde hair, which is something that I kind of figured, but this goes into another theory of who Dolores could actually be the daughter of. But moving on, the chapter starts off, and the chapter title is Showtime. So chapter 12 starts off directly where the last chapter ended, with Percival's magical power unlocking once more. We see it swirling around, making a little morphs of those little magic golems he was making before. As the knight is being like, what is going on? I've never seen such unstructured magic before. As when Percival finally lands back on the ground, Nazian is confused and in awe on the fact that Percival was injured very, very badly, and now he's just standing there perfectly fine, saying that he's alright now. Nazian thinks that this could be some kind of healer magic, but Percival literally just says what everyone at this point knows, that he doesn't even know what kind of magic it is either. And one thing I like is that Donnie is mentioning that Percival is actually using a lot more force than he did last time when his magical power was used. And you can tell by how his energy is like moving and swerving around him. Even Sin doesn't even know what's going on, since this actually shouldn't be possible to be such a short time, roughly a day or two, from what I can guess, from awakening his powers and his fight with Pelgard to right now. But Tulsa doesn't give them any time to think about it, as he launches another hailstorm at them, basically saying the title of the chapter, it's Showtime. But as he says that they'll be shredded up, we see that his entire hailstorm got basically absorbed and eaten by a giant magic golem head that Percival created using his magical energy. This is like one of the funniest ways to stop like an attack that could instantly kill a normal person. Over the top and hilarious. So as Tulsa is in shock over this, the magical golem just spits out all the hail right back at him, hitting him as he tumbles on the ground, with Percival showing up right in front of him right afterwards, saying, just like he said before, stating that now that he landed a hit on him, he'll reveal everything that he's done, and once Percival beats him, he'll put Percival's grandfather back to normal. Tulsa is just Tulsker's not having it. He says, "Don't talk back to me." And I like Percival's just nonchalant response, just saying, "I'm not talking back, you dirtball." and just from that response, Tulsker just launches his axe right at Percival as he blocks it with his right arm, with his magical power coated all around him. So this more or less confirms that Percival can control the density of his magical energy, same as he did previously, but now he can use it to protect himself as like a invisible coat of armor. And as Tulsker, despite being blocked, continues to try and land a hit on Percival, Percival is unharmed by Tulsker's attacks. He's even saying, "But how could you might have survived this, but how are you going to beat me unarmed?" As Percival condenses his magical energy into a giant hand of pure energy, as he then basically slams down onto the ground, pinning Tulsker to the ground with his just giant magical hand. As he then says, "There it is. I hit you. So why did you do this to Tulsker's grandfather?" As he explains that Tulsker committed a grave sin. He gave medicine to the fairies and taken a stray giant in as family. And I like that his ideology is something reminiscent of another character and not King Arthur's, saying that rescuing races besides humans is outrageous. He states that Arthur wants a land where humanity lives in peace. No other race extent to threaten it. He even stated that he warned Ordo before transforming him, saying that he was committing a grave crime. He advised him to stop and even forsake the other races and leave, but he never did. So Tulsker punished him. He turned him into a monster, driven by an impulse to destroy and a duty to menace the world. He even gave the command to destroy the gorge, or else he will. If you don't want me to do it, you have to do it yourself. As it's revealed that Ordo himself, more or less extended Tulsker, poisoned the land with this poison, with the poisonous breath and magic that he has after transforming into a monster, basically driving out all the other creatures. And Tulsa says that this was lenient. He should have just used used an even stronger version of the poison to destroy the earth. As now he gets back up saying, "Are you happy? Is that the answer you wanted?" As he jumps back, and Percival is just laying into him, saying that's the most dumbest reason to punish someone. He stomped all over the Hanasian's heart and his grandfather for that. Tulsker says that what would a kid understand of the ideals of such a great man as King Arthur? As Percival is getting really mad now, Tulsker gets ready to use his ultimate and powerful weather control ability, Calamity. That's the name of his magic. As he launches a huge blast of lightning down onto Percival, his Riot Piercer. As it blows everyone else away, it seemingly hits Percival head on, but Percival, once again, unharmed by this, as he charges straight towards Tulsker with the same magical hand, but it seems it absorbed the properties of that magical attack that just hit him, much to Tulsker's surprise. And I have to like this because this actually gives Percival a bit more utility with his magic, because this actually reminds me of how Asta's second anti-magic sword was used in Black Clover, where there are times where if he actually knows how to use it, aside from being used maybe like 2 or 3 times, he can actually absorb the magic blade into he can actually absorb the magic attack that's going towards him into a sword and launch it right back at them, possibly even double the strength. So this can actually give Percival's magical arsenal with his aura an elemental type attack when he doesn't even know how to use any kind of magic that's elemental or not. And just as Percival is running towards him, Tulsa remembers the prophecy and what is told of the 4 Knights of the Apocalypse, that they're all young boys, and that from the abstract visions, one is a child with verdant wing-like hair, as he comes to realize that he is facing one of the 4 Knights of the Apocalypse. Tulsa manages to dodge that big attack, saying that this is actually a big stroke of luck. I can actually get rid of one of the 4 Knights of the Apocalypse and get rid of the Doomsday prophecy for King Arthur. It'll be over. And then So yes, this guy is working for King Arthur, and it is confirmed that this prophecy is supposed to be a doomsday theory for King Arthur, for the death of King Arthur. Now Sin actually punches in and tells Percival that it seems that his magic forms whatever's in his mind, and for him to try and picture something that'll just take out Tulsa in one hit. As Percival's wondering what kind of weapon he could use, because he never really used a weapon, he comes up with an idea, but before he can even put it into effect, Dalian straight up just says, "Don't even think of arrows, I mean it," as obviously Percival can't shoot for shit. So Tulsa gets ready and uses his Calamity Bird, what's supposed to be his ultimate magical attack. And Percival realizes that it looks just like a rock, one of the birds that he used to hunt with his grandfather, as he shapes his magical aura into his grandfather's giant sword, which was used as a kitchen knife, and slices and dices that elemental bird that Tulsa just made, as the feedback from its destruction ends up hitting Tulsa square in the face, with him getting blown away, saying that he is a menace and there are 4 of these monsters, as it basically destroys what's behind the gorge, as Percival just says, "Phew," as the chapter ends. Now, this was a really nice conclusion to this arc, from what I can tell. This is a nice concluding fight. Now, could this be the actual end-all be-all of this fight, of this arc? Maybe another chapter or two to kind of check things out, because I doubt Tulsa is going to remove the curse on Ordo. For all we know, it's a one-way transformation and it can't be undone. But Ordo might actually have his reasoning back now that this guy was defeated, or he'll come back and try and take down Nazian at the very least, or destroy the forest, even though Percival is right there. Though I do have to say that moment when Percival destroyed that electric bird and basically pushed back Tulsa, it reminded me of the first chapter of the 7 Deadly Sins, when Meliodas used full counter for the first time against Twigo and just straight up obliterated him with one hit. But yeah, that's how this chapter ends. And now I have a few theories on what could possibly be going on right now. For one, this isn't a theory, but I like that Percival's magic is actually more of a utility or situational type of magic, because it's supposed to be a combination of a bunch of different types, like healing, deconstruction, destruction, or enchantment, or whatever. What we've seen in this chapter is that Percival can shape the image in his mind of whatever he wants, which means he can be the first person in this world to create weapons using his magical power. Now, this is actually something that we've seen with the demons in the 7 Deadly Sins to an extent, even with Meliodas, with him using his demonic aura to create like claws, blades, wings, etc. So Percival can learn how to use weapons by actually using his own magical power as a type of aura to create other weapons for him to use, or he can just straight up be barehanded. This makes Percival's power way more of a utility or a situational type of power. Depending on the situation, he can make shift his magical aura into whatever the hell he wants to get him out of this situation. So this is honestly a pretty creative power right now. He could have just done the same thing with his magical golems before, but this is actually way better. I like that we have characters with powers that are more situational. Meliodas had a lot of it wasn't super situational. He only had like full counter, revenge counter, counter vanish, and even stuff like his demonic dark flame powers and stuff like that. This actually reminds me a bit of how Luffy from One Piece, his rubber powers are very situational. Seemingly, rubber can be very useless, but Luffy changes it with a bunch of different attacks and different ways to make it very, not just situational, but also very lethal. So, I like that Percival has a power that could just be changed with the situation to help fit with it, and it seemingly can absorb the properties of an elemental magic that hits him square on. Now, for all we know, Percival might not have been able to fully take this guy down with one hit right off the bat. He couldn't do this before using his magical power. But with his magical power, he was able to take out Tulsa, and who knows, maybe right now he can actually fight a bit more evenly with Pelgart, or put up more of a fight. But anyway, on to my little theory. Now, Tulsa said that King Arthur wanted to create a kingdom, an everlasting kingdom of peace for humanity and no other races. Which, from what we know of the King Arthur from the end of the Seven Deadly Sins, doesn't make too much sense. Because King Arthur is friends with the Seven Deadly Sins. All of them are different races. I mean, Elizabeth is basically a goddess in a human's body. Meliodas, more or less his mentor to an extent, as a demon. King Indian, or obviously giant and fairy. I mean, Bond's human now. But his advisor Merlin isn't even really human anymore. So this doesn't make too much sense for Arthur's character. So either A, the power of chaos has manipulated and twisted his mind over the years due to him not being fully capable of keeping his mind stable, or perhaps someone working with King Arthur is twisting everything into their own image for the knights. This actually reminds me, and I've said this in a previous video, of Death Pierce. Death Pierce was one of the Pleiades knights under King Bartra's brother in Leonis. But at the end of the Seven Deadly Sins, he was sick of everything that had just happened. Despite Elizabeth and Meliodas becoming the king and queen, and basically bringing this kingdom into a new era of peace, he couldn't accept it. He despised all other races. So he wanted to create a kingdom for himself that was just for humans and humans alone. So it could be we're setting up for Death Pierce to be a major antagonist or villain of the series, because Tulsa's ideology and how what King Arthur is saying very clearly fits with Death Pierce's view of the world and ideology at the end of the Seven Deadly Sins. So this can mean that Death Pierce managed to become a member of Arthur's court and possibly even manipulated certain aspects of what Arthur says to everyone else. There's no way of knowing. But this really feels very close to what Death Pierce would say and not what Arthur has said, because he is friends with all the other races. It doesn't make much sense at all for Arthur to want to just make it so his people do not want to be members of the other races, do not want to interact even with the other races. So it doesn't make much sense for Arthur's character that we've known him as up to this point. Another thing is that this ideology could actually more or less come true, because remember, at the beginning of the Seven Deadly Sins, at the start of every single episode of the anime, it's always stated that the story of the Seven Deadly Sins takes place in ancient times before the human and non-human worlds were divided. So it's very possible that when this Four Knights of the Apocalypse ends, it could end with the worlds being split apart, where all the other races are in another world entirely, another world where it's only humans. And it would seem that would be the only way to save the world. That is my theory. That is basically what a lot of people have thought when the Seven Deadly Sins was supposed to end, and even when this new series is beginning. So I feel like we're setting up for the human world and the non-human world to be separated, for the world to be separated for humans and non-humans. So it's very possible that this is what this ideology is going to build up to, this image of what King Arthur wants. Now, could this really be what King Arthur really wants? No. It could be that he is being forced to do this because he doesn't really see any other way, even though he can make enemies of his friends. Or it could just be Death Pierce basically weaseled his way into Camelot and twisted Arthur's ideology, or is being like someone that speaks directly to his people, stating and spreading this propaganda against the other races. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this chapter. A lot of things happened. Percival's magical power got re-unleashed, and now it looks like he can control it to a far greater extent, and it even became stronger from the last time. And now it's more of a utility type power. We also know what Ordo's quote-unquote sin was, and the ideology of the Holy Knights of Camelot, and possibly King Arthur himself. This brings up the idea of Death Pierce possibly having anything to do with all this, as well as the fact that this could lead into what the opening sequence of the anime and even the manga at the beginning would be like, when it stated that this was an era before the human and non-human worlds were divided. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed the Four Knights of the Apocalypse videos on this channel, please leave a like and a comment down below on what you thought of the chapter and what you think can happen next, as well as your own theories on where the story is leading up to and what could possibly happen next. And if you keep watching these videos, I will be sure to try and make more Fortnite the Apocalypse video content on this channel when the time comes. After 12 chapters, I believe that this series will grow to rival the 7 Deadly Sins, if not even surpass it. And I am really happy to have been reading the series from the very beginning. But all in all, what did you think? Did you like this chapter? Did you not like this chapter? Let me know in the comments down below, and I hope you all have an awesome day.